Alright, Huge Movie Fanatic Nate coming back yet again with another solo review of winter-related movies. In this case, I'm gonna do probably maybe the oldest movie that has yet to be reviewed on this Huge Movie Fanatics channel, which is Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush from whenever it was made. This movie kind of has two release dates, the original one and then the reissue he did where he cut out the intertitles and kind of narrated it and of course composed music for the whole thing. Criterion, I think like a year ago or more or something like that, released a beautiful Blu-ray which I got, which features the kind of both versions, where it's got the 1940, it might be 41 or 42 version where he did music and narrated it, and then they actually had the score re-recorded and in intertitles like put back and stuff like that, so they actually made like the original release version, which I kind of prefer. The other one's kind of cool too, but to see the original release version, which is actually longer and has a different ending and stuff, to the newly recorded music was very, very cool. So thank you very much, Criterion. I would highly recommend, obviously, the Criterion Blu-ray of The Gold Rush on a side note. But this is, I mean, it's like kind of like just an obvious 4-star movie. It's just one of the greatest silent movies ever, and pretty much basically, and some of the cutting edge visual effects that they pulled off, even still today, I mean, really are freaking amazing with some of the visual effects with the little model cabin sliding around and the optical effects where they're hanging off the mountain and G jumps out of the cabin right before it falls. So I mean, this is absolutely fantastic movie, and a very cold, winterish movie, and all this and that. Just permeated with absolutely famous, obviously scenes where he does the dance with the rolls and all this and that. Basically, in 1993, my dad had rented from a video store that had like come and gone in just a very brief amount of time. In 1993, a video store opened up around our burg called Tidal Wave. It was kind of like just a big, huge corporate, whatever. They sold CDs. They rented and sold tapes and VHS tapes and laser discs, and it was just a big, huge kind of corporate store that just appeared out of nowhere and then just disappeared out of nowhere. But so my dad had rented The Great Dictator in the summer 1993, and he had watched it by himself. And one day when he was at work, I actually put it in and watched it. And I was right at that point, I was instantly hooked. I had always known, as probably a lot of people do, about Charlie Chaplin, in the sense that just the basic thing about the tramp and the walk and all this and that, and the look is kind of like King Kong, where it's just everyone, maybe not so much kids today, but everyone of my generation and maybe older and stuff, just at the very least knew of the image of the tramp with the feet spread and just the top hat and the cane and stuff like that. And of course, The Great Dictator is the first time the tramp ever spoke or whatever. I think it's the first and last time. I think it's the last time he did that character. So it wasn't the best way to necessarily be introduced to the tramp or Charles Chaplin or anything like that. But obviously, it's a great movie, and the famous, insanely famous speech he gives at the end, which is just beyond famous, and still obviously a very great movie. But to make a long story short, I was instantly hooked and got Charlie Chaplin freaking crazy for the next 12 months or more. And pretty much, I think I've pretty much seen pretty much every single one of his movies, shorts, anything, except for A Countess from Hong Kong. I never saw that, I don't think. But I think I've pretty much seen every single thing that I could get my hand on, except for that. And of course, I wasn't really interested in that because he's not in it. I'm very interested in him as a performer, even if he is old, like he is in The King of New York. So that's one of the reasons I was never sought out Countess from Hong Kong, because I didn't really care about Marlon Brando. So to make a long story short, it's obvious 4 stars for Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush. Absolutely phenomenal, and just the way they sold sold the frozen tundra and all this and that, you know, with the sets and the special effects and all this and that. Very great silent film, and I'm sure, like, I think the silent version is like public domain possibly. Don't quote me, but I mean, I know that back in the day I bought some shitty ass, you know, shitty ass versions of it, which were really shitty. So the silent version may have been, or possibly still is, like, with no music, like public domain. So what I'm saying is it's probably on YouTube. Like, if not the new dubbed over with, you know, narration version, the silent version probably is on YouTube. But I would highly, obviously, recommend checking out The Gold Rush, because it is Charles Chaplin at his, you know, pretty much top of his game as far as, you know, the tramp character, and also, unfortunately, I can't remember his name right now, the guy who is in a lot of Chaplin stuff, who played his kind of, you know, round-bellied friend or whatever. But another famous scene, of course, is when he gets, when the guy sees the chicken, sees him as a chicken and stuff like that, and Chaplin he was just like, in amazing everything, but I think just on top, you know, along with everything else, he was obviously an amazing performer, and the performance of him in the chicken suit was obviously, like everything else, fantastic and funny, and I'm gonna have to watch this again or rewatch it, you know, before spring, you know, because as you know, I'm an anal bastard in the sense that I like to watch winter-related movies in the winter, not so much in the summertime. To make a long story short, this is phenomenal. One of the best silent movies probably that exists, or certainly that I've seen. So, which is kind of cool because, like I say, it has two versions: the original silent, and then the 1941 or 2 or whatever version where he wrote music and then narrated it as well. So you know, definitely, if you'd like to, feel free to check out Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush. Thanks for watching.